Let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be working on a PlayStation 2 Slim. We're going to completely disassemble it, clean it, put a new thermal pad, do everything that we need to get it running great. I'm going to try to take off the warranty sticker like I usually do, and like always, fail miserably. You could buy these online if it's really that serious. I do personally like having them on there. I don't know why, I just do. I think it looks better. Once the warranty sticker is gone, it kind of makes it look like something was tampered with, and then you don't know who's been tampering with it. So I like warranty stickers, but this one's garbage. I have some other ones. We're going to replace it. I'm going to use a flathead, and we're going to take off all the little pieces on the bottom here for the covers and the foot. The little feet things, the rubber parts. You're not taking off all of them. It's only going to be some of them. I'll show you here. So it's going to be all the plastic ones. And then this corner one here. So that one's going to be a rubber one. And then this corner one here is also going to be a rubber one. So we're going to have 6 in total. And then those top 2 you're not going to remove. Sped through that really quick. So now once you have those removed, you're going to grab the PS2 Slim from the left side on the controller side, and you're just going to separate the case from right here. And then I find that it actually just works best if you just peel the top half of it back, or to the right side. There you go, just like this. It doesn't matter if the lid is open or not. It's going to have a little bit of tension on it, but you'll be alright as long as you just don't force it. You'll be okay. But there's like 2 little pieces of tabs that come up right there, and they'll just come up. It's not that bad. You're gonna have 1 screw in the front right here next to the memory card ports. Take that out. That's what's holding down the motherboard to the case. And then you're gonna have your front power button right here. It's just seated in there. There's nothing holding it in place. It's just a little channel, so just lift that up so it doesn't get caught. You can disconnect the ribbon if you'd like to. And then you just pull up on the back, and the whole motherboard, everything is going to come apart from the bottom of the case. Set that to the side. That's what it's going to look like. Some of the models are going to have the Cmos battery right there where my hand is, and others will not. It just depends on which model PS2 Slim that you have. Some of them are right directly onto the motherboard. I think it's the 2032 battery. I don't remember what it was exactly, but this is the ribbon cable. You just want to be very careful with it. Don't rip it. And it plugs in right there. Just set that to the side. Anytime you're removing like the fan connector or the battery connector, especially these ones on the side right here, these consoles are old and they do break very easily, so you just want to be very careful when you're disconnecting them. You have those ones, that one, and that's the fan connector right there. Now the laser cable, this is the one for the motor here. Just pull that up very carefully. And then you're going to have your laser cable right there. When you're reinserting that one, there is a plastic tab that you, on the connector on the motherboard, you actually pull that up first before you slide the connector back in. I just want to mention that before I forget it. This one here is a real pain to get off. You want to be real gentle and take your time. And I really mean take your time with that one. We're at the 4 screws. On the other versions of the PS2 Slim, there may only be 3 screws. That's okay. So if you only see 3, don't freak out. This one is going to have 4 screws. And the reason that we're doing that is right under the disk drive, there should actually be one more little screw, and we do have to disconnect the laser as well. So I actually found that I was able to lift up the disk drive and the laser drive, and then that gave me a little bit more room to grab onto that cable, so I didn't damage it. But once you're able to lift this up a little bit, there's a screw right here, and that's another one that we're going to need to remove so that we can separate the motherboard from the chassis. The only thing that's holding down this disk drive here is the laser ribbon cable, which is also very easy to remove. I'll show you that here in a second. So I'm going to move over to the Cmos battery. You want to hold down the connector that's on the motherboard with your fingernail or something while you pull that up, and the same thing for the fan connector. The fan connectors, they break very easily, so take your time with that. I can't stress enough how easily these things break. Put your fingernail or something and hold it down as you're pulling the fan connector up. Go to flip it over. We're gonna have a couple screws here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're just gonna remove these, and this is gonna separate the chassis from the motherboard. Once you have those disconnected, I'm going to mark it just to make sure that I place those back in the right place, because it might get you might get confused with the ones on the right there. It happens when you're doing different consoles that work on Xboxes, PlayStations, all sorts of stuff, so you tend to forget after a while. Once you do that, you can go ahead and pick up the bottom half of the chassis, and then there's going to be a plastic piece. Just make sure that the orientation is correct when you put it back. Hold down the disk drive, and then you can flip it back over to the front, or the top side. And then you'll be able to lift up the top half there. So now we have access to the motherboard. On some of the other versions, you're going to have your Cmos battery right here on the left side of the motherboard. But on this version, it's this style with the negative and the positive leads. These can be purchased on online. They're roughly about $7 to $10. So if you're planning on changing that, purchase it ahead of time. These are the thermal pads. We're going to go ahead and match them. I bought online on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description below. There's like a bundle pack. Here you go. And it has there's about 4 different sizes from thick to thin. And just match up the correct size. Don't go thicker, don't go thinner. They are a certain size for a reason, so that they make contact with certain parts of the chassis once you connect it back together. So just put them side by side and match up the thickness as close as you can get it, and then go ahead and just place them together and cut it out. If there's not total chip coverage, I do like to go just slightly bigger. But this one is the right size and it's got total chip coverage. So there's going to be plastic on both sides of the thermal pad. Make sure you peel off both sides. And then just place the new thermal pad down there. Make sure there's no air bubbles. You want to try your best not to have any air bubbles. If there is, you can gently poke it with a needle. Don't scratch the chip that's under it. And then that should help pop that air bubble. You cannot have an air bubble, or else that defeats the purpose of the thermal pad. Now we're going to go over to the next chip. These are all dried and they're going to come apart. Don't use anything metal. You don't want to scratch the chips. So use plastic scrapers and just gently go over it. So you want to try to get it off as best as you can. I began to crumple it up and then I realized, I still have to cut it. So. And just gently scrape all that off. And then clean it with some IPA. You'll be good to go on that. So I'm speeding through all of this. I'm just going to give everything a good cleaning. Put the new thermal pad down. Make sure you take off both sides of the plastic. Then again, just want to touch on making sure that there's no air bubbles on top. And also, I think it goes without saying, but I'm just going to mention it. You're not leaving a hole. So once you poke that hole to get the air bubble out, press on it with your finger slightly so that it seals back up. Give the motherboard a good cleaning. And then I'm going to give the disk drive a good cleaning. Get all the old grease off. You could gently slide the laser back and forth. Just make sure that you're not forcing it. It is possible to break the plastic piece on the right side there. And then we have some new grease. We're going to apply it to the railing. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below for that as well. It's just a multi-purpose synthetic grease. But it works great for electronics, the gears, disk drives, stuff like that that you can't use like WD-40 and stuff on. This is great for that. So it almost got by me, but I did catch it right before putting everything back together. There's actually one more thermal pad right here under the Cmos battery, the motherboard battery. And that is going to be for this chip right here. And I believe this chip is what powers and drives the laser in the disk drive. So this is going to be one of the thicker ones, and this is why it's also good to get one of these multi-packs. We're going to match it to this one here, and that's going to be the same thickness, so we're going to use that one. And it's going to be centered right there, right in the middle. On the, I think it's the 77 or the 7000 series. I don't remember which one's which, but there's a revision of the board, and it does not include that. It's the revision that doesn't have the Cmos battery right there. There's no thermal pad under that. I don't believe that there is. I've done a couple of them, and I don't remember that one being there. But on this particular model, it does have the thermal pad right there. So now we can just reassemble. We're going to put the top part of the chassis back on with the fan and the disk drive. You can either just put a screw in to hold it. Actually, no, you can't. So just hold it with your finger, flip it back over, and then put the bottom half, and just make sure that the plastic is still there as well. Line that back up with the holes, and then we're going to insert those 4 screws back in. Go ahead and place those 4 screws. So now we can grab the disk drive and flip it back over. Hold that down. What you don't want to happen is to pull the laser ribbon cable off, because it is glued down, and that is important. That's what causes some of those PS2s to scratch games and stuff like that, is when the glue doesn't hold it down anymore. So now we're just going to lift it and move it out of place a little bit so we can put that screw back in. Some people say you don't need it and not to put it back in, but I put things back the way that they belong. I do things right the first time. Now we can reconnect the battery and the fan, and then all the ribbon cables on the right side here. I like to do this one first before you screw it back in. Again, it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room, and especially if you have big fingers like I do. Okay, now that everything's back and connected, we can go ahead and screw down the laser. These don't need to be super tight. Just snug them down. It is okay for the laser drive to be able to wiggle a little bit. That's what those rubber stoppers are there for. If I realized I didn't do it because on this one it didn't really need it, but if your fan is dirty and it needs to be cleaned, there's just those 3 screws that you can see right there on the fan. You just remove those 3 screws and the fan just comes straight up. It's very easy. You have access to the bottom of the fan, and then you can just blow it out or clean it. I realized that I didn't touch on that, so I just wanted to say that really quick. You can put your power button back in after it goes back into the bottom half of the case, or you can do it now. It's just preference. This is also the time, well, earlier was the time to clean the case, top and the bottom. And then you just slide the front in first, and then the back half just drops in, just like that. And then you'll see the little channel there in the front where the front power button just kind of rests in. Now that everything's back and connected, and if you went ahead and cleaned out your fan, this one didn't need to be cleaned, so that's why I didn't remove it. I would have removed it if it had any dirt on it. And you just place that one screw. It's a little bit bigger, rounded at the top, and that's going to go right back into the spot. And that's pretty much it. So now we can go ahead and put the top case back in. That's one of your switches right there. If you have an issue where you put a game in or your PS2 is just not turning on, stuff like that, turns on and then shuts off, it could be this switch here. There's also a switch here in the front that needs to be cleaned as well. Since we already have it open, let's touch on those two switches and just put some IPA in them and get them cleaned. The front switch is not usually the issue. It's usually the rear switch that causes those issues and disk reading issues. I do it a lot. It's called the disk lid mod. That's what I call it. I'm not sure if that's what it's actually called, but you basically remove the switch and bridge the connections. If you guys would like to see a video on something like that, I can do that as well. Just leave a comment down below, and next time I do it, I can go ahead and do that. But once you have everything cleaned, then you're just going to drop the top lid back on. You can start from the right side and roll it into the left if it's not going back in correctly. That's the best way. And just clip it all back together, press it down, make sure that everything is nice and seated. And that's pretty much it. Now we're just going to go put the bottom screws back on. But yeah, anytime I open up a PlayStation 2 Slim, so we're just going to have the 6 screws right there. Anyways, once I open up a PS2 Slim, pretty much all of them, I always remove that rear switch. It's just not needed. They always fail. And with the age of the consoles, they're always guaranteed to fail. So if it hasn't failed, it will fail. So anytime I have a console open, I remove it and I bridge the connections and just get rid of it. It makes life so much easier with the PS2 Slim. Once you have those 6 screws back in, then you can just put your covers back on. Now that corner and this other corner over here by the barcode are going to be the ones that are rubber. And then all the other 4 pieces are going to be the plastic pieces. So basically the 4 corners should be rubber, and then all the other 4 screws in the odd locations are going to be the plastic ones. Like I said, I had some stickers and leftover stuff from other consoles, so popping on a new warranty sticker, and that's it. All clean and ready for a customer. Favorite games here, and just make sure that everything's working. And if you're testing out the laser, you need to remember there's 3 discs versions that it must read. You have the CD-ROM, which is the blue underside, the DVD, which is the clear underside, and then PS1 games. If it can read all 3, you have a good laser. If it's having trouble reading one of the 3, then unfortunately you're having issues with the laser. This one is reading, so we're good to go.